on, guys? It's your boy Az. We're back here again, and we're going to be jumping into the next node here. We just finished off node 10 the other day, and yeah, and if you guys need to take a look at the characters, that's in that in the description there, the first video there, the first attempt, just to kind of go over the symbiote team that I'm using, but just goes over the ISOs and the T4s and all that. Pretty much maxed everything out, so it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, last day we had done 10 point mil worth of damage, and we're going to be jumping into 11 here. And I think 11 for the most part is pretty straightforward too, just like, sorry, excuse me, 11 is just as straightforward as 10. And the hard one we got to look out for is 12, which was the crazy one with the God mode Emma Frost. But this one's not too bad. I think the hardest one about this one is we do have we have a Groot, we have some Gravitons, and we have an Ebony Maw in there. But for the most part, I don't think we'll run into too many issues. I was able to do the recording last night, and then do the the editing and all that stuff. But sped it up for you guys, so that way you guys don't have to watch it at the normal speed. Otherwise, yeah, it's just gonna eat up. It eats up quite a bit more time. So I've sped it up for you guys, and then you can kind of just see how the play-by-play goes. But we've got Symbiote, Spidey, and Carnage and Scream on the far left side, and then we got Anti-Venom on the far right. So that way it gives them a little bit of protection. And I mean, for this one, yeah, it doesn't really matter who you go for. I go for Hawkeye initially, just because of the fact that he has, he doesn't really miss, and he has that debuff removal as well, and the speed reduction. So I kind of go for him for that. That's one of the reasons why, and it also because he's kind of centered right in the middle of everybody, so it helps if you guys are trying to chain attacks and spread debuffs over. So he's in a nice position. So yeah, you guys saw there he did use his ultimate. So yeah, you want to make sure you can get rid of him ASAP. Otherwise, he's gonna keep blinding the team, and if the team can't hit, the team can't heal. So you want to make sure you can get rid of him ASAP. And I mean, after you take him out, your guess is as good as mine. You can probably just go for whoever you think is a good target, but there's not a lot of dangerous characters on the board. So I mean, you can go for you can go for Spider-Man since he stuns, or you can go for Groot because of the debuff removal. I go for Gamora here because she's squishy, and also because she's kind of in between Spider-Man and Namor, so it just kind of helps out, kind of allows me to spread those debuffs again to either corner, and it just helps chain those attacks. But yeah, Groot's a good choice too, because yeah, you don't want him healing up those debuffs, and that makes it straightforward. If you guys are running with 4 symbiotes, I don't think you're gonna run too many issues with either nodes 10 or 11. I think if you have them, it's pretty much, you can probably hit auto and it'd probably be fine, based on what I've seen already. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Even if you have 3 symbiotes and you got Mercenary Lieutenant, or if you've got I think other people are using Night Nurse because she's cheap. I've seen Ghost Rider as well, which is a little bit more pricey, but people have brought him up for Dark Dimension 3, so then they also brought him up for 4 as well. But yeah, I've seen a couple of different characters, but I think, the best way to go here is save your biomaterials. So that means, at the start of your Dark Dimension 4 journey, not using it on Captain America, and just saving all those biomaterials. I think Captain America is a 54/54, so I mean, in theory, if you level him up, he's going to take a slot off the symbiote team, and 54/54 can get you Carnage, Scream, or Anti-Venom, so better off saving it. And plus, there's better characters. You can always go Zemo or Black Widow or Ghost, and they're better characters for global nodes anyways, so it's a better way to go. But yeah, like I said, save those biomaterials. It's not just the biomaterials you need; it's also the alien spores, and each character requires 12 to bring up to tier 13, another 24 to bring up to tier 14, and then of course another 25 spores for tier 15. Which, I mean, obviously in the grand scheme of things, it's a butt ton of alien spores per character. So obviously that's probably going to be your biggest bottleneck resource, and it's better off. You're better off just trying to see what you can get here. And if you guys are further away from the city nodes and you guys are just planning ahead, then yeah, absolutely. Anytime what I was doing was when I saw the alien spores in the general store or the gold store, and when I'd seen it in the war store, I just bought it up. I didn't care. I always saved up extra credits just to make sure I had enough so I can buy one if it popped up, because yeah, that's what you want to make sure. I'm currently working on Venom right now, and I'm not sure if I'll have him ready. I'm like 15 to 20 spores away, so it's definitely spores is the limiting factor here for Venom. But either way, 4 symbiotes is still a very solid team, and last day we had beat node 10 quite easily, so obviously this is a good team. And as you guys see here, we're not having too much difficulty. We're pretty much just mashing the single target because the next wave's going to drop, and I believe the next wave has got Ebony Maul, maybe? Nope, that's the next one. Okay, no, this one, that must be the wave after. But again, another pretty straightforward node. We have a couple Thors, we got a couple of cables, and then we got some other okay characters. Not crazy. We're gonna stun Rhino so that way he doesn't taunt us. Of course, he's already disrupted, so I mean, really, we didn't have to do that. But he's a slow character, and you can stack debuffs on him, so it kind of works out. And then, of course, Symbiote Spidey will just lengthen everything up. But yeah, as you guys see here, once you get that initial, once you get those initial debuffs on, and then you use Anti-Venom's ultimate, he'll rip everything off and put them as positives on our team. So yeah, it's a wicked team running here. Like I said, if you don't have all 4 symbiotes, try to prioritize on definitely Symbiote Spidey, because he's pretty much essential. He needs to be. He stuns, he slows, he debuffs, he gives that amazing passive for the symbiotes to grab all that life steal in dark dimension modes and raids. So you need him for sure. And then of course you need Anti-Venom, and those are probably the 2 characters you will need. I've seen people doing it without Carnage, so Carnage is not necessary. Obviously I brought him because of the fact that his speed that he brings to the table, and anytime the characters drop below 25% health or something like that, they get that additional speed bar. So yeah, obviously he pretty much revs the engine for this team, but he's not necessary. I've seen people one-shotting these nodes with just 2 symbiotes, and I think they had Punisher and Night Nurse, and it still worked out fine. So as long as you have Symbiote Spidey and Anti-Venom, it's a good starting point. And then yeah, anything above that, if you guys can get more symbiotes on top of that, then that's basically insurance policy. Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to one-shot it right away, but for sure, I think if you have Night Nurse, Punisher, Mercenary Lieutenant, you can probably 2-shot it, or even maybe 1-shot it as well, depending on the RNG. But obviously, the more symbiotes you have, the more healing, the more debuffs, all that synergy with each other is just absolutely nuts. In this case, Scream is also a good choice because she is really cheap. I think her and Black Widow are pretty much the cheapest characters in the game to bring up for this mode. Obviously, they aren't just cheap; they're also quite good as well. Black Widow has her stun and her speed ups, and also she has the the stealth to kind of protect herself. And then Scream, of course, does the multiple bleeds, debuff removal, and then of course disruption and speed reduction. Like, it's just absolutely crazy. So if you're going for a third character, I would definitely prioritize Scream over Carnage. That was my pecking order. I knew Carnage was okay. He gives that increased speed bar, but again, he wasn't absolutely required. So I would say Scream is better because of the fact that she brings up the disruption and the speed reduction as well. She was a better character overall. Plus, she was cheaper. So you guys can kind of go depending on which way you want to go. But I still think she was the better character. Unfortunately, she's not farmable right now in the game. So obviously, if you've got her on low yellows or reds, that might dictate your decision as well. But definitely for sure, I'd pop Symbiote Spidey and Anti-Venom as a must-have for this one. And Scream and Carnage are just extras. Although now I'm hearing other people telling me that Carnage probably probably should have been Venom instead of Carnage. I've been hearing that this node 12, so the next node we're gonna try, is nuts. Apparently, it's just crazy. I've seen the footage. Emma basically by herself destroys like 4 or 5 characters. It's absolutely crazy. Like I'm not looking forward to it, but we'll see what we can do with this team. I have seen somebody else on YouTube. They used 5 symbiotes, and yeah, even when that Emma Frost dropped, they had 5 symbiotes, and they got through it, but it wasn't like a smooth fight. Like it was pretty nuts. Like it was a pretty close. It was pretty tight, is what it was, and I think the RNG obviously plays a pretty big role, but I can see why it is such a crazy node, because yeah, she heals a ton, and then she's constantly blinding and using her debuff removal, which obviously rips the symbiotes debuffs, and then it rips their buffs as well. So I mean, yeah, she's just a perfect counter for this team, which kind of sucks, because I mean, these guys are built for Dark Dimension, and then you're running into issues like that. So I mean, yeah, if you go 5 symbiotes, you shouldn't have troubles, but again, getting those alien spores, getting those biomaterials, that's a little crazy. And even right now, for me, when I was getting up my 4th symbiote, I was like, wow, that is a lot of materials. And I was debating or not on who to use, because I was kind of stuck in between Scream or Carnage, and I basically just pushed for both of them because I had the materials. But at a certain point, I was asking myself, is Venom a better choice? And right now, I mean, this team's pretty solid, so I don't want to jinx myself here, but I do want to say that I feel like Scream and Carnage were a pretty good choice, and we'll see what happens with Node 12. But yeah, it was a pretty nuts videos that I've seen, and like I said, I've only been able to see one team truly counter it successfully, and that was the full squad of symbiotes. And unfortunately, that's a lot of biomaterials, and that's a lot of alien spores to bring. So we'll see what happens when we go into it. Yeah, I look forward to the challenge, of course. We've been able to one-shot every node so far, pretty much from node 1. So if node 12 breaks my streak, yeah, I'll be a little upset. But unfortunately, I am a bit of, I am optimistic that we'll get at least maybe a couple hits in, and hopefully we can do better. I've seen some guys doing at least 20 shots on that node, so I'm a bit scared on what to expect for it. But we'll see what happens. And then of course I'm getting pretty close with my legendaries as well. So I mean, I'm not trying to be picky or anything now. So if I have to take 5 or 6 attacks on it, so be it. I just want to get through so I can get to the legendary nodes, and then we can start getting chipping away at those ones, and then hopefully get Doom unlocked. So that's the plan there. And it's been a pretty long journey here. I mean, we've been at these nodes for a while now. I think we started back in a couple months ago. So I mean, yeah, it just takes time for all these materials, and I'll be excited just to get Dark Dimension 4 done so we can start using Doom, because yeah, he's wicked in Arena. I've seen him absolutely decimate those Black Order teams, and just looking for some more characters to add to our roster. So I mean, of course, everyone's excited about Doom because he's so good, and he's not the best character on defense, but for sure he's going to shake up the meta once people start unlocking him more and adding him to the rosters and everything like that. So anyhow, as you guys see here, we got the last 6 left over, and pretty straightforward. Like I said, I don't know if there was anything really too hard about this node, other than the fact that we did have Ebony Maw come out on the 3rd wave, I believe. And I mean, yeah, just stun him, rip his immunity off, and get his defense up, down, and then obviously once you get through those, just throw the stun on him, and then make sure he doesn't heal, and then yeah, it's pretty straightforward after that. So I mean, I think for the most part, it's a pretty straightforward node because we have 4 symbiotes, and it might be a little bit harder if you don't have the 4 symbiotes. If you're only running 2 or maybe even 1, it might be a little bit more difficult. But if you got 4, we got insane amount of debuffs, healing, speed, and synergy, of course. And then we got the extra cushion from Anti-Venom as well. He's the insurance policy if someone dies. So that's really nice for us.
And we'll just finish off here on Spider-Man. I keep saying symbiote. And there you guys have it. So yeah, that's Rhino getting taken down here. Just look at all those buffs, those debuffs, and smacked onto him. So there you guys have it. That is a completion of node 11 there. And now we've got we'll take a look at node 12 here. Like I said already, the start's pretty nuts with all those brawlers. And node 11, we did good, 40 mil worth of damage. I think it's a good way to start it off. We finished off 10. And now we've one-shotted 11. So now we've pretty much one-shotted 3/4 of Dark Dimension, which is pretty nice. We'll see how 12 goes, and hopefully we can finish off strong, guys, and then we can hopefully be ready for the legendary nodes. I'm still missing a couple characters, but we're definitely closer than we are to the end here. So that's great. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and as always, happy gaming.